I have just straight fire. We might need to split it up into multiple segments or multiple episodes because I just got too much fire for one day myself. All right, we got a bunch of ideas today. If you like ideas, this is going to be one of the podcasts you like. I promise you. I didn't bring in any frameworks or life advice. We just went straight business, cool businesses and ideas you probably never heard of. At the end, we just brainstormed TV show ideas that could be made into TV shows. So I think you'll like this episode. It's a classic. It's a Sam and Shaan classic brainstorm. All right, enjoy. Welcome everybody to the show. I hope we have the new intro music by the time this airs, but we may not. I don't know about you, but I've been jamming out to the new intro song pretty excessively, and it's been great.
It's good. It's good. The guy who made it has a wonderful name. Can you say his name?
Young Spielberg. That's his name.
That's a good name. I really like that. But Young without an O. Y-U-N-G. All right. We have to mention the clip contest. So we're doing this contest. I think if people want to learn about it, I think they go. So if they go to mfmpod.com, they'll see it. If you go to mfmpod.com/clips, you'll for sure see it. MFMpod, and you'll see like a link. Did you see? So these kids, it's mostly like younger like kids that are making videos where basically the contest, by the way, is you chop up these videos. So just go to our YouTube page and like download the videos and chop it up and put it on TikTok, Instagram, Twitter, whatever. And if you use a certain hashtag, MFM clips, we'll find you, and we're going to give $5,000 to some of our favorite clips.
Yeah, there's already some amazing things. So I saw a few TikToks that were already past, I think, 100,000 views. So,
it's crazy.
You know, so their TikToks their TikTok account is blowing up just by taking our content and just chopping it up. And then the guy who did the like South Park looking cartoon thing, that was amazing.
Amazing. It's a young guy named Corey who's I followed his account, and he's got like hundreds of thousands of views on a handful of videos. And he launched the videos, and like within a day or two, he had all these views. It's wild. And then the guy who does the cartoon thing, I think he's launching a business, and we are his first.
Right.
Because I followed his Twitter account, and he had zero. It was like zero.
Yeah.
So that's amazing.
Anyways, $5,000. Go take our content, turn it into clips, let it go viral, and everybody wins.
All right, I've got a few interesting things. You've got many interesting things. You should go first.
I have just straight fire. We might need to split it up into multiple segments or multiple episodes because I just got too much fire for one day myself.
I know what the first one is, and I think we should start with that.
Okay, so I wanted to bring this up. We had talked about this in the past, but this is a story about Miss Excel. So her name, she calls herself Miss Excel, and I don't know if you've ever seen her. I don't think you're a big TikTok guy, but I am. I had seen this person going viral on TikTok, and basically it's a woman who puts out like Microsoft Excel tips and tricks, like little hacks, like, oh, you know how your things are always like poorly formatted? Just push like, Command G when you're hovering over the column, and look, it auto formats everything perfectly. Or like, do you know what a VLOOKUP is? You do this, this, and this, and boom, you can find anything. So she basically puts out these little clips on TikTok, but it's not just the content. Like the way she does it, it's like what works on TikTok. It's like cute girls, dancing, humor. Like these are the things that like work on TikTok. And so she does that. She's like, she'll put a song like that's like a trending song on TikTok. She'll dress up. She'll have the screen share behind her, and she's kind of overlaid on top of it. And then she's showing something funny something that's happening. She's explaining it quickly and in an entertaining way. So here's her story. She's a consultant, kind of a boring job. She was a consultant, and she decided, and there's a lot of consultants and bankers that if you watch them use Excel, they won't touch a mouse. Like they just use a keyboard like a wizard, and like they could just do everything just by hitting like shortcuts and macros on their keyboard in Excel. There's actually a lot of people that can do this.
My friend who used to work at BCG, basically they had a mouse with like a wired mouse that was clearly cut. The cord was cut, and they like it was like in a frame on the wall, and they're like, "That's what you're gonna do here. The mouse is
That's
cut.
What this needs to look like.
You don't use the mouse."
Exactly. And I don't know how any of this works, but I've definitely seen a bunch of friends who can do this. It's kind of amazing when they're doing it. So she basically took that idea and started turning it into interesting clips. So she starts off and she tells a story where she's like, I wanted to like try making some content, and TikTok, I felt embarrassed because like, isn't TikTok like for kids? And like, it's just like the silly thing to do. I shouldn't make a TikTok account. I'm a consultant. And then her gut was like, you should do a TikTok. And so she listens to her gut. She makes a TikTok. And pretty quickly, I think like within the first week or so, she goes viral with 1 or 2 clips and she gets over like 100,000 views. And she's like, holy shit, this is awesome. And so she does it again and she does it again. And then she she like buys a little ring light and gets a green screen so that it looks a little bit better. And she does it again. She gets a video that gets 1 million views. And it's like, wow, this is amazing. And so she starts branding herself. Amazing branding, by the way. Miss Excel. Like she is the Excel woman. And so I thought that was great. And so she starts doing this and she's getting popular, but she's not making any money. And, she reaches, or what happened? Morning Brew reaches out. They're going to do a feature story on her. And they're like, oh, we want to feature you. And at the same time, a business coach reached out to her and was like, hey, I saw you have this like really great following. I think your content is super unique. And she was like, yeah, it's great. I'm going to be featured on Morning Brew. They're like, awesome. Like, what do you have to sell? She's like, oh, I don't sell anything. It's all free content. And they're like, if you're going to get featured, you should have something to sell. And she's like, okay, challenge accepted. You're right. I'm going to make a course. And so she decides to make a course. She's never done it before. And I think she had like something like 2 weeks or something to like pull this whole thing off. And she rushes to do it. Now let's fast forward to today. She is making courses and she is making 6 figures a month off this thing. So she's making single-digit millions a year. She has a few days of the year where she's made over $100,000 on a day in course sales. That's kind of like her Black Friday or Black Friday special or whatever, where she sold her course. And so she's doing millions of dollars a year and she's working towards $1 million month. That's like her goal. I want to hit $1 million a month as Miss Excel. And she is like, Microsoft loves her. They're like pumping her up. She's featured in Business Insider. She's featured in like BuzzFeed. She's featured in a whole bunch of places because it's this great story. She's featured on this podcast right now. And so she is doing amazing. What I love about this is she quits her job as a consultant. She now works 15 hours a week, unless she's making a course, but just like a normal thing. She's doing 15 hours a week. She has 1 employee, which is an overseas virtual assistant. Her cost structure is that overseas virtual assistant, which I'm guessing is making something like $6 to $10 an hour. So, probably paying them like $500 a month ballpark. Plus, she pays $97 for Thinkific, which is the course platform. And she pays a video editor to edit the videos for the course. So like all in all, her expenses are probably like sub $1,500, maybe sub $2,000 at the time. And she's making 6 figures a month. So she's profiting, at least $100,000 a month doing this thing. And there was a whole bunch of like different little nuggets in there that I liked, but that's the overall story. Quick reaction to that.
Amazing. I don't think it's going to, maybe it will last. Maybe.
So that was my initial instinct. I was like,
but
awesome, awesome
grab
run. But like, who knows if this is here 2 years from now. And then I changed my mind when I kind of read a little bit more about her. Here's what I liked. Okay. So we had talked about Excel way back, maybe a year ago when we were talking about, I was going to create a course and we had done a deep dive of what are the best courses.
It's always Excel.
Microsoft Excel is always in the top. If you go to Teachable's top courses, Udemy's top courses, learning to master Excel is always in the top like 10 earning courses. And
I think
it's hard to be the one, but it's a topic people will pay for.
Ankur from Teachable, he's a good Twitter follow. He tweets out some of the biggest earners. He won't explicitly say who they are, but he'll say one earner we just paid their, they just crossed 20 million in revenue or in like earnings. Yeah. And then he'll also say like the top course is this Excel thing. So you can kind of like triangulate.
Exactly.
And
on Udemy, I think I was able to do this as well. I was able to search and sort for the top best-selling courses, and Excel was in the top as well.
That's amazing.
And so I think Excel has real demand. Then the question is, who's going to be the best brand in the Excel space? And she's the horse I would pick. So why do I think that? First is her content is fundamentally better. She took the most, she has the best top of funnel. So what's her top of funnel strategy? It's highly exciting, quick hitting, snack sized TikTok videos. TikTok itself is like the crack cocaine of content, right? Like 10 seconds video with music overlaid. That is crack cocaine for content. And she's using that for Excel when all the other Excel creators are like bloggers and shit like that. It's like a stale old thing. Then her brand and her personality, Miss Excel, good looking woman who understands how to do content. And I know she understands the content. So she's a little bit, when I was researching her, she is really into some of the shit I'm into. That's really like kind of like off the beaten path. So she was like, yeah, she's like, most people, when they think of content strategy, like especially for this space, B2B type of content, she's like, it's always like strategic, intellectual, trying to figure it out. She goes, I spend most of my time just getting into a certain state of mind. She's like, I just get into she goes, this is her exact quote. She goes, the way I run my structure for my business is through energetics. Most people don't even know what the fuck that means. She goes, I get my energy to a place where my presence is truly magnetic. I get a vision of what's going to go viral. Then I run to my computer and I create that. And sure enough, it goes viral. She goes, because most content, awesome. people don't understand, content is just energy transmission.
Yeah.
I'm having a great time. I'm excited about this topic. And so I'm going to push that through the phone into you. And sure enough, you're going to learn something, but you're also going to smile while you're watching my shit. You're also going to laugh while you're watching my thing. And nobody else is doing that. And I read that and I go, she gets it. She gets like one of the most important things about business and life, which is just like being able to manage your own energy. But the second part is she gets the content strategy in a way that I don't think anybody else is going to really get in this space.
Did you see another thing? Oh, go ahead.
She now has scale. So at first I was like, oh, okay, but she's just like an individual creator on TikTok and like, who knows, maybe TikTok algorithm changes. No. So here's what she's doing. She basically is like, I'm going to scale in two ways. First, she's expanding into the whole Microsoft suite. So it's not just Excel. She's doing PowerPoint and Word and Outlook and like everything that like, you know, a billion people on earth have to use professionally. And Microsoft is helping her. And every time they're releasing a new thing, she's getting first look at it. And she gets to come out right away with the content that's going to highlight this new function or this new feature that you get to be able to use. So that expansion gives it more legs than just Excel. The second thing is she now hired a performance marketing agency. And she's like, yeah, get my brand to grow. And she's like, the beautiful thing is I don't sell my course. I just put my most viral thing and I put ad spend behind it. And people love it. Like they love that content. And so they like it. They comment on it. So Facebook's algorithm promotes it. And so I was like, oh, that's kind of an unstoppable like flywheel. She's going to keep creating this like juicy, like quick life hack type content. Then she's promoting it. That's already inherently viral. Then she's putting a paid ad spend behind it. She's growing her following on Instagram now, plus TikTok, plus YouTube, plus all these different places. And she's like, oh yeah, Reels came out. So then I just like jumped on Reels and I became like one of the most viral Reels creators on Instagram. And so I'm like, okay, now she's diversifying the audience and she's got the courses behind it and she's going into more parts of the suite. I like that formula.
I was wrong. She's gonna crush it.
I think she's gonna get to my bold prediction. She's gonna get to $100 million in sales. And that sounds outrageous.
I was about to say 100 million. I think you could do, I think 100 million a year or lifetime?
A year.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. I think that's bold. I think likely she'll get to like $25 million a year in revenue and could probably actually do that for many years.
Right.
I'm on
I think
board.
it's crazy. So I loved her thing. There was also these other little nuggets. So she's working 15 hours a week. So then she's like, oh, cool. Quit my job. I'm going to be a digital nomad. Something you kind of did this last year. She's like, every month, me and my boyfriend, we just moved to a different state and we just want to experience it. So they'll just move to a different state in America and just like hang out there for the month and then they hop around. And the other thing that the other nuggets I liked was she does these like webinars because she understands there's like a top of funnel. So top of funnel, if you don't know, is basically like how you get new customers to even like get in touch with you, get into your orbit.
In this case it's just going viral on TikTok.
Going viral on TikTok or Instagram or YouTube. Great. Then she has the middle of funnel, which is where a lot of people fall out, which is, okay, you've touched base with me once. You're not ready to buy something just yet, but how do I actually get you to participate in a deeper way, to invest in a deeper way? And for her, she runs these webinars and she calls them high energy Excel parties. And so she invites people to these. And what happens is it's like someone from BCG, and then they go and they're like, oh, this is amazing. Then they're like, hey, we'd like to buy like 1,500 seats for your course for our company, you know, like, or hey, I work for Target corporate training, and yeah, we have 25,000 employees that we think would be benefit from this. How could you create something custom for us? And it's going to be like, yeah, here's the same thing, but now I say the word Target at the beginning and I charge you, $5 million for it. I have a buddy who's doing this, which basically is like his top, he does top of funnel newsletters. Then he does these like webinars and workshops and podcasts that go deeper. And then at the bottom is somebody from, Procter and Gamble will reach out and just be like, hey, cool. Like, yeah, we got 50,000 global employees. We would love to have you come speak at our headquarters once a month. And like, we'll pay you basically like $100,000 retainer per month. How's that? And he's like, whoa, okay. That's like way easier than like trying
What's he teach?
So he teaches basically, I don't want to give away too much because I can't say the numbers then, but he teaches like a version of growth mindset. Are you familiar with that? So he's like kind of one of the thought leaders in growth mindset. And so big company like sports teams like have him on retainer, as well as, big companies like whoever, Coca-Cola or whatever will pay him. And they're just like, look, we think your stuff is great and we have 50,000 employees. How do we just like package this up for all those employees? And then like, guess what? We want to do this every year. And so that turned out to be a very big business for him. And he's just trying to figure out like, what do you charge a company like this? And he'll just name a number and, sure enough, they'll pay it. And he's like, oh man, maybe I should have said a higher number. I thought that was a crazy high number, but I guess for them, it's like, they didn't even blink. They just like said yes. So shit.
Did you see this weekend, the World Excel Financial Modeling Championships happened?
No, but that is amazing. I love that.
It went viral. Ben, look this up. It's like, look up like Financial Modeling World Championship.
Dude, why did I think of that idea? That's such a me idea to think of.
It went viral, and there is like, and you see these guys, it's like all, no disrespect, it's all nerds doing it, obviously. And you see pictures of them, and you see memes like, this is what peak male performance looks like.
Dude, and that's so funny. Okay. What do they actually do? What is the competition?
So they're all like, you can, they did it like Twitch. So like you could like, they like were streaming their screens and they were asked to do certain things. And then they had to like in real time, like make this model. And I don't actually know how they judged it. I didn't pay attention. I just paid attention to the memes. I think Steph Smith tweeted something funny. Like, this is a gift from God. It like, she showed a picture of them on there. It's amazing. It was hilarious. And, all my Indian friends were sharing it this weekend and like making Indian jokes, and it was awesome. It was so funny. But who owns that? Didn't you see?
It's probably like, Deloitte.
But anyway, so that was amazing. So I'm on board with this. That's awesome. I love Miss Excel. When this article on The Verge, I think it was, went live, I had so many people DM me and say, you guys got to cover this. So I was going to do it. And so I'm happy you did. Baller. I think that I've talked to a couple friends that have course businesses, and my friend Neville, my best friend Neville, he had a course called Copywriting Course. It honestly changed my life. And he made this one course like 12 years ago, maybe. And it's been paying his bills every single year since then. He does other stuff.
Yeah,
like
I took it as well.
He like updates it, and now he has like a membership thing. But this one thing that he filmed years ago, it's like that's been his career.
By the way, in terms of transferring energy, Neville is exactly like that. If you watch in the course, he does these like most courses are like, here's an hour-long session about X. His is like, it's almost like a blog post, and it's like 1 minute where he's teaching one concept, and he'll like, the camera will be on, and then he'll pop out from under the table. He'll be like, yo, and then he'll like say the thing. And then the next one, he's got a guitar in his hand. He's like, if I'm writing an email and I want to get a reply, and he's like singing a song, and he's like, he makes it entertaining, and you could just, there's something that makes you smile, and it keeps you engaged. It keeps you involved with it. And, people will forget the content, but they won't forget how they felt taking your course. And so they'll still recommend it and refer it and be happy with their purchase.
I'm going to tell you about one or two really quick things. And I think we should spend most of the episode on your stuff because it's actually pretty good. This adventure book thing looks amazing. One very quick thing, monthly.com. Did you know what that is?
Yeah.
You see,
but explain it for
so
people
it's
who
just
don't know,
like,
because I think it's pretty under the radar.
It's pretty much the exact same thing as Masterclass, but only for creators. It's kind of cool. I just signed up for my first one. Casey Neistat
Which one?
Is launching a YouTubing and storytelling class. Do you see it?
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, so I signed up for it. So that's like a cool find. So it's
Dude, how is he not at the fucking top of this screen right now? He's like just in the middle of this long list. What are they doing?
It's
monthly. Founders of Monthly. I think I've talked to them before. They were cool. They were cool and they knew they were cool.
That's all right.
I was like, hey, this is awesome. They're like, yeah, it's awesome. I was like, I'd love to invest. They're like, yeah, a lot of people want to invest.
That's all right. I appreciate that. So I
respect that.
I just signed up for that. I'm so excited to do it. I bought it full price and everything. I'm pumped. The second thing, another cool product that I've been fooling around with. Well, we'll do actually three. The second one is Descript. Have you seen Descript?
Yeah, we've talked about it. So Descript is kind of like editing software for like you record something, audio or video, and then it like transcribes it automatically. And then if you delete a piece of text from the transcription, it deletes that part of the video, which is like magic.
It's amazing. I've been playing with this for my YouTube stuff.
What do you do with it?
All right, so you film a video. Let's say I film a 10-minute video. It uploads the video and automatically transcribes it. And so I edit the video by editing the transcription like a Google Doc. And so I could copy and paste and move stuff around, and that edits the video. It's amazing. It's almost transformative because it changed. When I think about what I'm going to film, I think about like the narrative. Like a story is just a long narrative, and it's harder to think in video clips. It's much easier to think in text. It's super cool. And so I actually think this company, they raised money recently at a $200 million valuation. I actually think this is a company that's going to be significantly larger than it is now. And it's going to be pretty epic. The guy who started it also started Groupon.
Yeah, what's his name? Andrew
Mason.
He's dope. Also, the best part about Andrew Mason that I respect is he starts Groupon. Groupon goes on this crazy run where it's like at that point in time, it was like the hottest startup in the world, copied by like every fucking, every Joe Schmo was copying Groupon. Groupon like raises all this money. It ends up going public. Then it kind of like, then the world turns against Groupon. It's like, this is not a good business. It's not going to work. People are pulling out. It's still, I think, like $1 billion company, but like, it lost its shine. And he was in Chicago, I think. And then he quits or whatever.
He gets fired.
He got fired. I think he wrote something really hilarious. Didn't he write something really funny on the way out?
He wrote like an email.
Ben, pull that up.
He goes, today, I'm paraphrasing. He's like, today's my last day. I've been fired. You probably know why. Like
yeah. The video I made making fun of that CEO who botched the layoffs. This was the opposite. This is the CEO who got it, who gets it. And so he wrote this like letter, I was fired today. Then he takes a year off and he creates an album, a music album, like a rap album of him and he's not good, but it's hilarious. We should pull up one of the videos of his like rap album or whatever.
Yeah.
And he releases that, and then he like came back with Descript, and it started off as this like walking tour thing,
which was amazing, by the way.
Editor.
The walking tours were amazing. I bought a lot of them. It was really cool, but like not that good of a business because I mean, I was a super fan, but like most people, you're never going to do this, and if you do, you're going to do one in your life. But
yeah, exactly. Like that. By the way, what a great lesson. The walking tour was like what people should do, and like makes them like be more active and like learn things in the world. And then Descript is like, hey, it's like products that make it easier to be lazier. It's like, hey, editing video is hard. Let's make it easier for you.
So Descript, I've been playing with it. I think it's called Descript. I've been calling it Descript unless it's Descript. So sorry. Awesome. Under the radar. Cool. And then the last thing I'm going to tell you about that's kind of interesting. So Storyworth. So Shaan or Ben, go to storyworth.com. This is a crazy, fascinating thing. Very simple product. I actually knew the guy, Nick. He started it. I shared an office with him, and he's still, I believe, the only employee. And it's kind of cool. It's very simple. When I logged in or when I used it years ago, all it was is you pay like $100 a year or $200 a year, and it sends emails to family members that you sign up, and it asks them about certain memories. And it asks them so much over the course of a year that at the end of the year, if a lot of your family members have answered some of your prompts, you now have a book describing their childhood. So it'll be like I sent it to my Aunt Debbie, and she was like, a question. I don't remember all the questions, but it was something like, what's the best memory of your father before you were 10? And she was like, on Halloween, we did this thing. And it's like, oh my gosh, I'm learning about my family. And at the end, I printed out this book, super fascinating. And it's super fascinating because it's a one-person business. It's just him. And it's really simple. It's very easy. And I love that ancestry stuff so much. Like, I'm a big fan of that. Anyway, that's all.
Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. I've never used something like this. So isn't it kind of a lot of work for the other person to like write an answer? Like, I
Yes.
feel like people don't like to do stuff like that.
Yeah, but if you get one a week and you spend like 10 minutes journaling, yeah, it's work. But I like told my aunt, I was like, hey, this is important to me. And she, after a while, she was like, oh, I kind of like doing this. I'm remembering a bunch of stuff. It's a lot of work.
We had done a version of this, or there's a version of this that's like, I think a little easier, which was, I don't know if you remember, when I had my mom over, she
and
was
you did like
visiting
a
at my house,
podcast with her.
and I recorded a podcast with her. And the podcast was so much easier because really all they had to commit to was like one time, hey, let's sit down and talk. And you get this hour-long thing with their voice, and they don't have to, like, people will get pretty intimidated having to write something. There's this pressure internally to like do good writing. I think school like traumatizes the shit out of people. And this podcast thing worked great. I had an amazing podcast with my mom. I recommend anybody, you don't need to be a podcaster, by the way. Like this, I don't publish this anywhere, but it's just a memory I'll always have. And it was a conversation that I wouldn't have otherwise had. More importantly, like, I don't even know if I'll ever go back and listen to this. Maybe
But you'll
someday,
give it to your daughter
on that really horrible day. Yeah. Like, when she passes away, like I'll be happy I have this. But more importantly, it was like, so much of life is so surface level, and like we're just talking we're just talking about me and my life all the time. B, like if I'm talking to her, it's about like what we're doing today or whatever. I realized I knew very, very little about like her and her family and what made her and like her upbringing, because I don't know, that was just shit in the past. And so and even she forgot a lot of these things, and in the conversation it all was coming flooding back to her. So I recommend everybody do that with their parents. Like just sit them down and record a 1 hour thing. And I can share like the questions I asked or whatever, but it really doesn't matter, to be honest with you.
Have you done Ancestry or 23andMe?
I've never done it. No.
They're awesome. So 23andMe is awesome. Ancestry's, I think, cooler because I've spent hours on it, like building up my family tree. 23andMe, I've thought about getting it I have it, and I've thought about buying it this Christmas for my family members. The reason I may not do it. Have you heard of this thing called GED match?
No. What's that?
Oh, have you heard of the Golden State Killer?
No.
Okay, so in the 1970s, there was this guy.
I thought that's what they call you.
Yeah, that was my nickname in high school, Golden State Killer. In the 1960s, 70s, and I think 80s, there was this guy who basically like raped like 50 women, and then he murdered eventually like 20 of them. Like he was a serial killer, and he got away with it for years. No one knew who it was. And Patton Oswalt's wife, Patton Oswalt, the comedian, his wife, who recently died, right before she died, published her like master work, her life's work. And it was about the Golden State Killer and how he's never been caught. And it renewed interest. And then the FBI got all into it because all the press. And they eventually used this website called GE. It's public. It's like anyone can use it. It's like an open source website. And it analyzes all of the information from 23andMe, Ancestry, and like all that stuff, all the database stuff. And they put his DNA, the Golden State Killer's DNA, which they had, into this GED match thing. And they realized that the daughter of the killer, or like they were like, well, this is so aligned, it must be like the daughter or the granddaughter of the killer recently signed up for 23andMe. And so they stake out this guy's house, they dig through his garbage, they go, boom, got him. And that's how they arrest him. And they arrested him when he was like 80 and dying. And if you Google Golden State Killer, you'll see like these pictures of this old man, and they got him because he got away with it for so long. But eventually they brought him to justice. And now they've caught many dozens, maybe even hundreds of killers or rapists this way, which is good, but it's kind of scary. And so you could.
So I was gonna say, so you're worried about this? Why is this worrying you?
Because it's being used for
good. Don't
good.
Want to get grandpa in trouble.
It's being used for good now, but like you could see, like,
do I want to be in this database?
Do I want to be in this database? And so this is one thing I'm a bit worried about. So you can go to GED Match and you can upload your results, and it could tell you all types of stuff about your results. You could see a lot of interesting stuff, and you could like. If you can somehow get the DNA from an FBI case, which I believe in some cases you can like upload it. And there's like thousands of like these internet detectives using this database to solve crimes. It's kind of fascinating. It's kind of interesting, and it's definitely a little scary.
Wow. Is there like a subreddit for these, like sort of like public crime solvers?
Yes, there is. And it's very, very interesting. And most of the time they're wrong. So like, if you remember when the Boston marathon bombing, they like named like these like 3 guys, and they kind of fucked with these guys' lives. They didn't end up doing it, but everyone was certain on that subreddit, and they were uploading pictures, and they go, this guy works at this place. It wasn't them. They were wrong. Right. No one guessed it that it was the 2 actual guys. But this is a little bit different because it's DNA, but DNA isn't perfect. So it's like it'll say like there's a this person is 5% related to this person. So it's like, all right, let's see what that is. So that could be like a distant cousin. And so you like track your way down to that, and you build these family trees to figure out, oh, it's kind of weird that like this matches this person, and they also lived in the same area. And so it's not perfect, but it's like pretty good. So anyway, I thought that's why I may not get 23andMe.
Yeah, I also know people who have gotten it and realized like their dad is not their real dad. And I think that
happened to a family member of mine.
I think that's a, side effect to be aware of. Sometimes ignorance is bliss.
A family member of mine found out that their parent cheated on the spouse and had a kid. And so they logged on and they go, oh man, I've got a second
brother or whatever,
like a stepbrother or whatever, half brother. And it changes shit.
Yeah, I was going to say, without getting too personal, that has like they went public with it, or they just kind of kept that information to themselves?
No. They did not go public with it, but it like was I don't know. They haven't talked about it with me too much, but it seems like it was like somewhat earth shattering.
Yeah. There's a thing that I've heard that goes on, which is, people who use sperm banks, so like a sperm donor, will take the test. People who didn't realize that their parent had used a sperm donor or whatever, they will get the sequencing done or whatever, and they'll find out like, oh my God, I have 42 like half brothers or sisters out there. It's like, this was a person who, this is a person who donated a bunch, and then so you actually do genetically share with all these different people. Like, wow, that's really crazy. So there's all kinds of like interesting stuff. And I think 23andMe, their business model is to sell your data, right? Like, I think that is the core business model, is they sell it to pharmaceutical companies for, like the research or whatever. Like, I don't know if it's fucked up or if it's like, this is for the good of science, but I don't think you really know or opt. It's not clear that, hey,
it's not clear.
Yeah, it's probably, it's definitely the terms, but nobody's reading the terms. And so that's the problem.
It's like a benevolent dictator. It's like, it's cool when they're making the trains run on time. It's not cool when they start killing people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, it's good when it's good, and then but it could go bad real easily.
Yeah. All right. What else we got?
Do adventure book.
All right. So this is another. So to me, the Miss Excel thing was one. This other thing I think is really interesting. So the adventure book. Let me tell you about this story. Have you heard? Do you know what this is? This product, the adventure book?
I have no idea what it is.
Ben, have you ever heard of this thing? Okay, all right. So you guys are also not on TikTok enough. This is like the number 1 ad on TikTok that I see. I don't know if I'm just in their market or they just run a shit ton of ads, but I've been seeing it for like a year. So basically, it's a book you buy, and it's like a high quality big book. And what it is like there's a bunch of, imagine like a scratch off, like a lottery. So there's a bunch of things a bunch of adventures that you could scratch off. So you open the book to a random adventure, you scratch it off, and it reveals a thing you're gonna go do. Like it might be like, I don't know, I've never bought the book, so like, bad example, but like, you're gonna go into a store today and you give out 10 compliments to people in the store, or you're gonna go streaking around your neighborhood or whatever, like an adventure, a thing you can go do. And so this idea, and they pair with it like a camera. So you're supposed to take a Polaroid of you doing it, so it becomes a scrapbook. So on one side, it triggers you to go do something that you've never done, or that's like, get you out of your comfort zone. And then it gives you the ability to capture it and paste. You glue the photo in, and it becomes this memory book of all your adventures. Like, cool, kind of novel idea. So I'd seen this and I was like, oh, that's a cute idea. That's a novel idea. What I didn't realize is this is $100 million business that was created in the last like 2 years. So how do I know this? Like for the podcast, I don't know if you get these emails, but I definitely do. There's a bunch of people that have like booking agents, and we get all these emails, which is like, hey, Shaan, love My First Million. Have you thought about having, Joe on? And you're like, it's like, oh, first they're complimenting me. So I like open it and I'm like, It's like, I don't want to be a member of any club that will have me, so it's like, that's how I feel about the guest thing. So normally I write all these off, but this one caught my eye, which was, they said, would you like to have Brian Ellis on? He is a high school dropout, now owns $100 million business called the Adventure Challenge. And I was like, it's like that adventure book thing. And so I replied, I go, $100 million? No way. That sounds high. And she goes, yeah, like it's been incredible. They've grown, blah, blah, blah. And I said, 100, I just to clarify, I'm like 100 million cumulative revenue, annual revenue. What are you saying here? And so she goes, yeah, like they'll do 85 million in revenue this year. And they have a few bigger partnerships, that distribution partnerships that will get them over 100, like in the next year. And, so the business is valued over $100 million, but with 85 million in revenue. And I was like, what the fuck? And so I go and I start researching this. And so here's the story. So this guy, Bryant, he's, so I couldn't confirm the high school dropout part. I don't know if that was just like some post-fact shit, like to make this sound better, but like, let's assume it's true. So, high school dropout. I think his job was, he had some job, which was like, he was a skyscraper inspector. So he's like, some low man on the totem pole doing a job he didn't love. And he's like, all right, I'm just doing this for the money. He wanted to make a business. Like he's like, my whole life, I always have ideas. And I wanted to create a product. It's like, so I'm doing this job and I had this idea to do this like adventure box. So his original idea was take a machine, create a box, like a machine, and you push a button and it's like, zzz, it like prints out a receipt. The receipt is like the adventure you're going to go on. So you get like a random adventure that comes out. Cool idea, right? And so that was the original idea. And he's like, just tells a couple people about it. And they're like, oh, yeah, that's cool. And he's like, great. But he's just doing his job and he hasn't really, figured out exactly how to do it or whatever. And he's like, okay, what he everything's like on hold until he gets fired from his job. He makes a mistake. They think he committed fraud. His boss is like, no, this is an honest mistake. But either way, he gets fired. He's like, all right, shit. What do I want to do? So he decides, I want to go to acting school. So he's like, I'm going to go to acting school, but I need to pay for life. So he's like, I need to create a side hustle that's going to make me $2,000 a month. That's my goal. And he's like, what about that adventure box challenge thing? And he's like, the idea over the course of a few months had like evolved. And he's like, all right, what if it was actually like a book that you could scratch off the adventure? And so he tells a couple people about it and they're like, that's actually a really cool idea. You should do it. And so he goes to Hobby Lobby and he buys some paper, some of the scratch off material. And he's like, goes to a different store, buys a camera, and he's like, starts coming up with this idea. And he basically spends 6 to 8 months prototyping this idea because nobody had really done a like, kind of like an adventure style scratch off book before. So he's like creating an actual physical product. And so he's like, he has this idea and he just keeps telling people about it. And so he gets to the point where he's prototyped the idea several times. And there's videos I found online of like, he's creating a vlog while he's doing it. He's like, all right, it's 11 p.m. April 1st. I just got this really cool material for the scratch off. I really like this one, but I'm having trouble with the bindings, and he's like, so maybe I'll try this other thing tomorrow. And then like he has the next video, a week later, he's like, okay, I figured out the bindings part and now I need to figure out this other thing. I love seeing the early stages of these ideas. So he creates a Kickstarter. He's like, I'm going to do a Kickstarter. It's going to be great. I want to raise $10,000 for this book. And Kickstarter goes live. He makes $1,300 the first day. And he's like, fuck yeah, I'm the man. He, goes to a coffee shop. He's strutting in. He's like, I made $1,300 today. I don't know about you guys. I'll take, your best, give me your finest coffee. And he's like, all right, we're already 13% of the way to the goal. Let's keep going. But day 2, $400. Day 3, $0. And like the Kickstarter like runs out of steam. And he's like, shit, I was kind of just banking on this going viral and now it's not viral. So what now? And so he's like, all right, basically he's going to throw in the towel. He's like, for only $1,700, I can't even get the quality of book made that I want. Maybe I'll just quit. So he's like, I need to get a job to pay for life. Like I'm out of money. And so he's like, oh, maybe I'll contact my buddy. I forgot his name, but Ben, my buddy Ben to get a sales job. He has like this company I can do sales. So he calls him up. He gets a sales. He's like, I want to do a sales job. I want to do it for 1 year, and I'm just saving up money so I can go back out there and build a product. And the guy's like, all right, cool, that's fine. Like you're upfront about it. Like I'm down with that. Let's do it. So he gets a sales job there. And while he's there, he's telling people at work this idea. He can't shut up about the idea. And the guy there was like, have you tried ads? He's like, oh, dude, nobody clicks ads. Like ads, ads are scams, basically. Like that was his mentality at the time. And the guy's like, no, like that's how we grow our business. Like, you should try. So he puts a little money into ads. He's like, I don't know if it worked or not, but like, I got this like 10x ROAS. And the guy's like, what? Like, no way. And he's like, yeah, like people really like the ad or whatever. And so the guy, he partners with his buddy, the guy who hired him. And so I'm fast forwarding some parts of the story, but basically he ends up leaving. That guy partners with him. That guy's like, look, we're going to grow this thing through ads. And they basically run a shit ton of TikTok ads, Facebook ads, whatever. And they've grown this thing to now if this is true, $85 million in sales. They've sold about 2 million copies of this book. It's like a $40 book, which is like, something million in sales if you do the math. And yeah, what an adventure. And now they have like a couples book. So you're like, 50 fun adventures to go on with your date. They have a family book. Here's some things to do with your family. A friend's book, and then a by yourself book. And yeah, it's kind of amazing.
I am into these notebooks. I told you I use one of these, Best Self Co, right?
Yeah, but that's different. That doesn't have like it doesn't get you to go do things in the real world.
It does. It does. The one I use like a relation.
Gotcha.
We use like a marriage one. And so I'm into this. This guy's amazing. How old is he?
He seems very young. So I don't know how old he is. He looks like he might be 25,
Dude, this is amazing.
30 max. I don't know.
I think these box things are cool. We talked about one that was doing like 100 million in revenue. And it was, remember it was that like catch a criminal box. You remember that?
Oh, what was that? What is that one? That's is it a true crime thing?
That was amazing. It was a true crime thing. It was $30 a month, and they send you a box, and you solve a crime with your friends. It's so good. It was so fun. And this is in that same world. I think it's cool to like. It feels special to me to order something and to like see get a physical thing, and I'm into it. I think this is badass. This is
like
so
that
awesome.
True crime one better than this because that's a repeat. That's like a recurring one, where it'll have more repeat purchase than this.
It's so fun.
And I do one, I buy this thing called Kiwi for my niece, which is like, it sends her like kind of like a science fair project, basically. It's like, here's a kit. You're going to build a little like mini tractor. It's sort of like Legos or whatever, but it's not like one specific thing. Or sorry, it is one specific thing. It's like, you'll learn about electricity through this little like box every month. And it's not great, but it's good enough. And like, she loves it. So now if I cancel, I have the guilt of like, her not getting the toy she wants. And so I'm like, I'm going to just keep this $20 subscription forever, I guess.
I'm on board with this. I think this is awesome. I think, by the way, whoever's making clips, this should be the clip that you make. This guy's stories, like, I was enthralled. This is amazing.
Wow. All right. What else you want to do? I have
keep going.
Okay. I have a segment. It's not even a full segment. It's just the start of a segment. I think this one might be bad, but let's try it. I basically pretend I'm drunk, and then this will be like, it's pretty good for a drunk guy. I have a bunch of half-baked TV show ideas.
Do you even drink?
I'll drink. If the occasion calls for it, I'll drink, but not regularly, no.
Okay.
But I want to pretend I was drunk when I came up with this list because it's kind of just like a random-ass list of weird ideas. So these are half-baked TV show ideas, okay? This is for the producer who listens to the show, the Netflix guy who listens to the show. You're welcome in advance. I want to get your reaction to my concepts. Okay, I'm going to pitch you 3 ideas. I don't know if you have any TV show ideas, but I'm going to pitch you 3. Okay.
Okay, go.
The first one is called Frat U. I don't know if you've seen the football one that's on. Oh my God, what's it called? There's like a football one called something on Netflix. It's like one of their original shows that basically follows a junior college football team around. And it's like, here's the coach, here's the players, and it like picks 6 players. And it's like, you kind of get emotionally invested in their story. There's a Formula One show that's just like this. It's like, here's these 6 drivers, you get invested in
it's amazing.
Their story. There's a cheerleading version of this that I watched. I think it's called Cheer. I don't know what it's called exactly, but it's like, here's the best cheer college.
Bro, that was like the most popular show, and it's not like something you discovered.
I'm a pretty good curator here, so I don't know, but a lot of people didn't watch the show because it's like, why would I watch a cheerleading show?
Have you heard of this thing called Squid Games?
So I signed up for this service called Netflix. It's pretty great. All right, so this same model I think it'll be applied to a whole bunch more topics. The one I'm surprised at is, why is there not a reality show just inside one of the craziest frats in America? Because you know that they would basically go all out, sell out to make the show entertaining because they want the fame.
Well, but I think it's a faux pas. Have you ever talked to like an 18-year-old man? They're woke.
No, dude.
Are they into
that's
frats?
Just like the 18-year-old who's like talking to old people like us. Most 18-year-olds don't interact with people like us, and they're like very normal and just trying to have a good time in college. They're not like.
Are frats popular, you think? I would think they're going down.
Dude,
like
frats
significantly.
are super popular because it's a bubble. Like when you go to a college, it's like in such a little bubble, it's not really affected by like the way the world is changing.
You don't have to. You're not convincing me. I understand the value, but I didn't even. I just thought that like with everything going on, that it was like a faux pas.
Nah, dude. I bet if you go to Arizona State or you go to like wherever Georgia. Do you think they give a shit about like wokeism and they're disbanding the frats? Hell no. They are.
Have you seen
doubling down?
Well, there's these girls on TikTok that do this challenge, or not this challenge, but I forget what it's called. If you're a TikTok guy, you probably know, but Sarah showed it to me. It's these girls who are like pledging. I think, is that what it's called?
Yeah.
I wasn't part of that. Where I don't know what you do. It's like it's like a tryout, and they always talk about what they're wearing. I'm an old man, and I was a dork. I wasn't part of a frat, but they like talk about the clothes that they're wearing to their like pledge ceremony, things like that, and it's gone very viral on video.
And what's so notable about the clothes they're wearing?
I don't know, but it's just funny. It's just hilarious because like, don't you know how like in the South and like at Ole Miss and stuff like that, the sororities do these they all
like I went to a Southern
exactly
college, yeah, for sure,
like they all like it's all like the blonde hair
way.
girls. They all look exactly alike and they dress exactly alike. And that's like the joke is they like show like what they're wearing.
At Duke, you weren't even allowed to throw a party if you weren't a frat or sorority. Like they literally were like, you better join this shit or you don't get to have a social life.
Dude, it's weird. It's so weird to me. That's so weird. Also, whenever I go to one of these frats, I'm like, this is disgusting. I don't want to live with like a bunch of dudes or alcoholics. And there's like 80 of them in this crappy house. And there's beer shit like now, taped on the wall.
How about you when you were like getting drunk all the time?
Even back then. But even back then, I'm like, this is filthy. I want to be the filthy one. I don't want to
place.
Well, I just don't want to be around a bunch of like degenerates all the time.
Oh, okay. Well, you're alone in that. I would love to go back and experience college again. I think it was a great time, and living in one of these houses was, yes, messy but fun. Anyways, point is, you go to a party school, you go to Ole Miss, you go to Georgia, you go to Santa Barbara or whatever, and it's frat you, and you basically just follow around with a king alpha frat. You go inside the house and you pick the 5 characters who are the fun, they're going to have all the elements of a great TV show. They're going to have relationship drama. They're going to have infighting. They're going to have camaraderie with the boys. They're going to have a hazing and a pledge process that's going to be controversial and get them to do all kinds of outrageous stunts. It's all baked in. The show basically writes itself.
You got to have like one guy questioning his sexuality.
Exactly.
And
comes out.
He's guy who
he's
only
afraid
grew up
they're not
going to
accept him, but they accept him. There's the person who gets canceled for doing something racist or sexist or something like that. It's got all the elements. And then you could just hop from school to school, and the schools would be excited. Oh shit, Frat U is coming. We got to represent because, Georgia looked like they had a good time. So now all of a sudden Clemson is like, oh, you think Georgia was hardcore? Look how we party. Look how we do our thing. I think this is a no-brainer franchise that somebody needs to create. And you could put me down as executive producer.
All right, next. Basic to
baller. Okay, what is this? I recently met somebody. I'm going to do a separate episode of this, but I recently met somebody who was completely like middle class or a little lower middle class. Like didn't have any money. All their tastes were that of a basic person, right? They didn't shop at Whole Foods. They shopped at Kroger, right? They didn't eat like fancy stuff. They ate, like McDonald's and stuff like that. They didn't drive a fancy car. They drove like a Camry. And like, okay, so that was their like taste buds. So I thought, what if you had a show where you just give a really basic person fuck you money and they get to go ball out and you get to see their reaction? Because already shows where people ball out, whether it's like kind of like $1 million listing or it's like Selling Sunset or it's like Kardashians. It's like, it's nice to see the lifestyles of the rich and famous. People like that. But those people also, there's that genre of lifestyles of the rich and famous from people who are already rich and famous and sort of like, snobby and materialistic. Okay, that already exists. What about what if you transformed somebody? You gave them the Cinderella treatment. They went from the bottom to the top suddenly, and they're now just discovering all these things for the first time. Hilarity ensues. Okay, that's my second pitch.
Let me put a twist on it. I actually think that you could do this, or someone listening could actually do this immediately via a YouTube series. So in 2005, there was a documentary called Reversal of Fortune. It was on Showtime. It was amazing. And the question was, what would a homeless person do if they were given $100,000? Right. And so they found this homeless guy. They gave him $100,000. And they show him going to like a hotel for the first time and sleeping in a bed for the first time. And he's like, I don't like this. And he sleeps on the floor of the hotel because he's like, it's not comfortable sleeping on this bed. And they give him $100,000 and it ends not good. So he spends all of his money on women. He buys a $35,000 truck. And this is like 35,000 of the 100 grand. And basically blows through all the money. And he does get a job, but all the money is gone on basically partying, and at the end of the movie he's only got $5,000 left and he's sleeping at his sister's house, but I actually think
not great for him, dude, but sounds like great TV to me.
It was great TV. I was watching it the whole time. So I think what could be what you should do is just get $100,000 and do a YouTube series on this. I think you can make your money back in ad revenue. That's hilarious.
I think if you did it with a homeless person, you might get some blowback now.
Yeah, not with the homeless person, but what would happen if someone who's in need or doesn't have much is given a lot.
Yeah, and I think it kind of needs to be temporary, with like Pimp My Ride, Exhibit shows up at the door and then like your life just sort of changes overnight. Or like, Wife Swap or whatever, where it's a very short period it's like a month or something like that. I think you need to let them ball out and then let them return back to reality. And you see that sort of the yo-yo of emotions between them. Okay, so that's my second one. Okay, third one, very easy show. I just need a show that's background noise. Are you a background noise kind of guy? Do you just have something on because it just feels better to have something on?
When we had a physical office, we had white noise machines throughout the office, and I enjoyed
Putting
that.
Babies to sleep, or what were you doing?
It was so you could have like if you wanted to have a conversation in a conference room, and for it not to bleed through the walls,
right?
And it was
for those difficult newsletter conversations.
Yes, or like when you have like an open office plan, you put it in like pods of desks, so then like the people eating lunch don't bother you. Now I keep the fan on.
Well, you're also like a music video guy, right? I remember we were at your house. You were just throwing up like on Apple TV, like a bunch of music videos.
I have music videos playing throughout the day.
Yeah. Okay. So that's the behavior I'm talking about. I think that Netflix does not cater.
Does anyone else do that? You don't do that? You don't have music videos?
So I don't personally do
playing?
that, but my wife, she'll always put like Friends on. I'm like, dude, you're watching Friends? And she's like, no, I'm not watching. I'm like, why do you have it on? Can I turn it off? No. I like having it on. And it's like,
yeah.
She doesn't like if there's like kind of like an empty home feeling. And also it's this comfort safety blanket where it's like, I already have seen all the episodes. And this is why The Office and Friends are such valuable catalogs, because people just put them on and they can only pay 10% or 20% attention to it. And 80% can be on the thing they're trying to do. And they can just glance up and, see certain parts, but then they just don't. It's a low maintenance show. And when you go on Netflix today, so much of it is high maintenance attention. It's like, oh, here's this intense story about this bank heist. And that's great when you want like a Friday night intense drama. Right. But I think they're underserving the background noise. And I also learned this at Twitch, because when I was at Twitch, we had looked at some of the data about the usage data. And somebody was pointing out like, oh yeah, like X percent, I can't say the exact percent, but like a significant percent of the viewing time is when it's not the tab that's in the forefront on people's computer. And I was like, oh, so we should just like throw that out, right? Like they're not even watching. They just like accidentally left it open. And I was like, why is it such a high percentage? Do we have some bug that like it stays open in the background in some weird way? They're like, no, this is actually the usage by like all the developers are like, what are you talking about? The developers who actually like use Twitch all the time. They're like, this is how I use Twitch all the time. Like I'm coding. I just have it on in the back. I'm just listening to it. I'm like, you're listening to somebody play video games? Like if there's one thing weirder than watching somebody play video games, it's listening to somebody play video games. Like, no, I just like it as like a ongoing background stream. It's kind of my favorite streamer and I don't really need to pay attention to it, but I'll hop in if I hear something cool happening. And I was like, holy shit. So there's this big genre of background entertainment that I think if you specifically tried to make background entertainment, you could create some really successful franchises.
So can I tell you something that validates this? So chive.com?
I think it's just like a news website or something. I don't really know much about it.
A little bit. It's like basically Barstool, but a slightly different demographic,
Okay.
but mostly the same. And they created this thing called Chive TV. And so what they did was they're based in Austin. They basically gave a little Amazon Fire Stick to a bunch of bars in Austin. And they said, you could have this stick for free. And on this stick is basically, we're going to put loads and loads of different clips of basically like America's Funniest Home Videos. Basically guys getting hit in the balls and like funny bar stuff that you don't actually need any sound to understand or to get like pleasure from. And so it was like silly stunts, guys jumping off skyscrapers and like skydiving and stuff. And they eventually spun this off and they created this business called Atmosphere. And this was making tens of millions of dollars in revenue pre-pandemic, I believe. They raised tens of millions of dollars at like a $200 million valuation. And they would give these fire sticks to like loads of different people. And then eventually you could just download this app and they would fulfill put content in the pipe and then put ads on it. And that's how they made all their money. And they go, look, advertisers, you're reaching all of these bars.
Right. Yeah. That's bars is a great one, right? That's like perfect background entertainment. Okay, so those are my 3 TV show pitch ideas, half-baked ideas. Do you have any ideas? Is there a show that you think could exist or would exist or should exist? I know I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, but well, so one that has caught my eye, YouTube. On YouTube, CNBC is doing something that I think is actually amazing. It's called Millennial Money. It's a stupid name. And the branding's really dumb. But what they do is they convince these. No, the idea is cool though. My friend Steve was on it the other day. They convince these people and they say like, and the titles are like, here's how we live on $1 million a year in Silicon Valley. Here's how we live on $40,000. Here's how we live on $150,000.
YouTube videos. And I've also seen Kevin O'Leary reacts to them. Have you seen this? That's what that's how they double down on it.
I think it's a great series. I think they're missing the mark though, but even though they're missing the mark, it's still quite good. And so I've always thought that for different stuff, I was like, what you should do is you could do it one of 2 ways. I've always thought what you could do is you could maybe have a podcast or get actors, and they like. I bet you if I sent out a survey, and I've done this before. We did this at The Hustle. We sent out a survey, we posted it on Hacker News, and we got like 3,000 people to tell us how much money they have in their checking account, how much they have in investable assets, how much they spend each month, and then just like a comment box. And they like leave comments. And if you search like the Hustle founder bank account, it'll like, we did an article on it, and people would give us all their information, and it was all anonymous though. And it was, and it was pretty great. And I always thought it would be interesting to where we can do a podcast where I just ask these people questions and then I'll hire a voice actor just to read them.
Right. I like that. I also really like that survey kind of idea because people are very willing to share because they've no cost to them. It's anonymized. It's, it's not being publicly shared that it's their information, but people really benefit from seeing what the aggregate is doing. So we talked about this with salaries with levels.fyi, as well as somebody heard the thing for Levels and then they made it for, do you know about this story? Someone heard our podcast about Levels. They made it for doctors, and then it got acquired by Levels. And so they now work at,
it got acquired.
I don't know if it got acquired. They got acquired, maybe is a better way to phrase it. Like those guys now are like, like doing their thing at Levels. He's like, dude, thanks for like that idea. It led me to like it got me off the path I was on. I built something cool. I got to learn from that. And then I got a sweet opportunity at Levels through that. But there's another one that's going viral right now. That's like, I think 175,000 tech workers have put their stuff into this spreadsheet.
Yeah, I've seen that. What's that called? It's literally just a Google sheet.
A Google sheet. It's like, it's broken because it has too many rows now. Like nobody can like use it. They're like asking for Excel experts to like help them, like format this so that they don't lose the data, but like people can still put their stuff in.
I saw that. They're basically doing it because they want to end like maybe if you're a minority or something at Facebook, you're like, I don't know if I'm getting fucked here. Can everyone please enter their salary anonymously so I know like, is this fair or not fair?
Yeah.
And that's how it got started. And so people were like rallying behind it and it went viral. I saw that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. All right. That's all I got for today. I got a couple other ideas, but I'm gonna save them.
All right. I think that was a good one.
Benjamin, what do you think of this one? Give it a grade.
This was an A. This was an A minus.
Okay, walk me through that. It was an A.
It was an A
became an
because
A-.
it was good top to bottom. Like all of it was good. And then I decided to add the minus at the end because it was missing like a hose water Sam moment. Like it didn't have anything that I was like rolling on the floor laughing or anything like that. So I docked it to a minus.
Dude, it's because my freaking camera's screwing up. It knocks me off my flow so much. I can't stand it. Apparently, some people say we're funny, which shocks me. And like the other day, Noah was like, "You have to take notes about reading a book," and I'm like, "Dude, I just read a book about like the Navy SEALs. Like, am I supposed to take notes about how like Bin Laden was shot in the head?" And like apparently, people wrote in the comments they like when we say dumb stuff like that, and that shocks me. When people say they listen, I'm like, really? So
I don't know if you're just doing that thing where it's like fake humble, like, oh God, shucks, I didn't know that guy. Like, because
no,
I think it's
like,
funny. Like, I think it's funnier than most
you're
people.
Funny. I think you're funny. As a group, I would say we're like mildly funny, but I wouldn't say funny is an attribute that I would like give this show.
I think it's funny.
People find it funny.
And I think you're way funnier. Also, I even texted you this because you had sent me something that was so funny, and I was like, dude, you're funny.
No, you said a left-handed compliment. You're like, I don't think a lot of people understand this, but you're pretty funny. Like I made a joke the other day. Someone posted a picture with them with their arm, or it was just like a headshot of them with Apollo Anton Ono, the ice skater. And I was like, I don't know who that is. Someone says that's Apollo Anton Ono. I'm like, oh, sorry, I didn't recognize him without his skates on.
Yeah.
And there's like little comments like that, and no one laughed at it. And I was like, guys, that's hilarious.
That was funny. I should have given you a laugh because that was a good one. Yeah, so I think we're funny. You have you're blunt, which is that's funny in itself, right? You just say something, and you don't hedge, which is like makes it even funnier because everybody fucking hedges nowadays. So you don't hedge or apologize, which is hilarious, and then you have some good like kind of phrases or one-liners that hit.
Well, I'll take it. So Ben, A minus, but we'll try to get some hose water stuff.
But
people are still people tweet at me and call me hose water.
I love it.
All right, we're out of here.